Dear students, today we shall be understanding the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. It is a poem composed by Stephen Spender. The poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum expounds the idea of a world not divided along monetary acquisitions, especially in terms of opportunities of education for the poor children. The poet Stephen Spender paints a gory picture of slum children and their school, both victims of government apathy, indifference. The poem is a scathing criticism of the utter neglect of these children's need for education and all round growth. Spender decries the social injustice and class inequalities prevailing in the society and calls for a holistic education for the poorest of the poor. The poet suggests that this would be possible only when the haves will realize their duty towards the have nots, will relieve the latter of their misery and provide them opportunities to lead dignified lives as human beings. Stephen Spender makes a frantic appeal to the educated and affluent sections of society to improve the conditions of slum children whose only hope is education, condemned as they are to a life of poverty, ignominy, want, and dirt. These children must be provided opportunities to experience the beauty and joy of life and learning. The poet Stephen Spender expresses sorrow over the grim fact that humanity at large and governments in particular adopt an unsympathetic attitude to these children of a lesser God. The poem is a bitter criticism of the condition of education in state run schools of slum. The poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, is written in a simple and clear style, dominated by the use of similes, metaphors, and imagery. Spender's use of rhyme is unique because he does not use the regular rhyme. This helps to convey the effect of social disorder, confusion, chaos, poverty, unemployment, and hardships faced by the hungry millions whose plight has aroused the feelings of sympathy, disgust, and anger in Spender. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, far, far from. Fur sound is repeated. There is a figure of speech, alliteration, gusty, moving very strongly, waves representing the natural beauty. These children, the children living in these slums, they seem to be like rootless weeds like simile, rootless weeds, unwanted plants. The hair torn round their pallor. They have pale faces because of the malnourishment, and their hair are scattered. They are untidy. There is a metaphor used here. It is implied that the hair are torn. So, in these three lines, first line, far, far from, fur, alliteration. Second line, first half, simile, like, direct comparison, like rootless weeds. Second line, second half, hair torn round their pallor. Assumed that the hair is torn. Remember the difference between the simile and metaphor. Simile is direct comparison, and metaphor is the comparison which is implied. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, the children living in the slums, their faces show that they are unwanted, they are untidy, shabby appearance, hair scattered on the pale faces. There is a tall girl showing that she is burdened with poverty, weighed down head. Metaphor again. Why weighed down? Burdened. Why burdened? Because of the poverty stricken conditions where she is not even getting enough to eat. There is one more boy, paper seeming boy, so thin, simile used, so thin as if his body can be compared with the thinness of the paper. This paper seeming boy has rat's eyes. Metaphor. It is assumed, it is implied that his eyes are the eyes of a rat. Rat is always wishing to eat something, always hungry because of malnourishment. These children are also having the need for food. So, this paper seeming boy is having rat's eyes. There is another child belonging to the slums. All these children have come to a classroom for the purpose of getting the education. Their basic needs are not met. The other child, his growth has got stunted, stopped. He is unfortunately unlucky here. Inheritor, what has he inherited? Twisted bones. Twisted bones because of the disease that he has inherited from his father. Gnarl disease. Knotty, Knotty, such a disease that even if he wants to come out of it, it is not possible for him to do so. So there is an unlucky, unfortunate child who has inherited his father's disease. There is a word reciting. This word is pun, having more than one meaning. How, in this context, it is that this child is reciting, is proceeding ahead the disease of his father. He's reciting the disease is one meaning, and his reciting his lesson is the next meaning. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. Surprisingly, there is one more child who has still not got crushed because of the poverty stricken conditions. Remember Mukesh in the story Lost Spring? So, this child whose eyes are still having the dream, he's able to think more than whatever is going on in the classroom. He's thinking about how the squirrel is playing in the garden, how in tree room in the hollow spaces of the tree, how is the squirrel hiding the nuts. He's able to imagine. He's able to think more than whatever is going on in the classroom, other than this classroom. The title of the poem is Elementary School. Elementary is basic school classroom in a slum. Now the question is, why are such schools created? It is because the rich people supposedly donate to acquire a special place in the society. They want to boast, they want to tell, they satisfy their ego by giving donations, and such classrooms are created. But once they are created, nobody is bothered about the quality of education imparted here. Most of the children who come to these schools, they do not benefit at all with the kind of education provided because they are so malnourished, because they are so much deprived from the main course of life, because whatever is taught here, they are hardly able to make any relation with the learning process. But then, yes, a few of them whose imagination still survives despite all the odd conditions, such children, they are able to do something like Mukesh dared to go beyond the narrow boundaries. There is a child sitting here also in this classroom. He is still unnoted. Unnoted by whom? Unnoted by the poverty, which means has not been crushed by the poverty stricken conditions. He's still sweet, he's still young, his eyes are still having a dream. He's able to think beyond the narrow walls of this classroom. And perhaps he shall be able to make a difference when he grows up. Now, the condition of the classroom is pathetic. On sour cream walls created by the donations given by the rich people once in lifetime. They do give the donations. not because they really want to help the poor children for their education, only because they want to satisfy their ego, their false egos. They want to tell the world. You must have seen people donating and then advertising. Even in the temples, on the floors, the tiles have got the names of people. The fans have got the names painted on them, that so and so in the memory of so and so donated this. So, this classroom in the slum, which is dull, drab, in dilapidated condition, this was created, dirty walls, this was created by the given donations of so called haves in the society, the rich people. Here, the teacher comes. In a very mechanical manner, the teacher talks about the intellect of Shakespeare. Dear children, these deprived, underprivileged children who have never been oriented even with the basic poetry, how will they appreciate the talent and the intellect of Shakespeare? The teacher talks about a very beautiful morning, dawn, daybreak, cloudless. These children whose birth has taken place in a slum which is foggy, which is smoky, where they are far, far from the natural surroundings. They have never seen the cloudless sky. What is the teacher talking about? They make no sense of it. The teacher tells the students about the big buildings in the cities, having the institutions, the universities, the colleges for the civilized people. Will these children living in the slums be ever able to go beyond these narrow walls imposed on them? Will they be able to see the big buildings which offer the path of education? Teacher talks about Tyrolese Valley. It's a beautiful valley in Austria. The children have not gotten the exposure. They have never been given the orientation. What valley? What is Tyrolese Valley? Where is Austria? She brings a map, open-handed map. She opens it. She tells the children by showing the physical map having the lines all over that this is the world, awarding the world its world. Unfortunately, for these children, these windows are the world. These windows are the windows of the slums. Not this map, which shows all continents, all countries, places which have never been experienced even by their forefathers. They have taken birth here. They shall have a life here and they shall perhaps die here only. Because they have taken birth in a slum, that is why it seems that their future has been painted with uncertainty, fog. Metaphor. Fog represents uncertainty. It seems that there shall not be any change anywhere. So, whatever the teacher is talking about, the child is not able to relate to it. He cannot appreciate the level of poetry that she is trying to teach, the natural beauty, the big buildings, of universities, etc. Tyrolese Valley. The child is not able to understand the importance of the map. It is just a few lines drawn for him. And it seems that living here, studying here with no changes anywhere, the present is pathetic and the future shall also be foggy. By this time, you must have realized why there are certain concepts that you are not able to understand. It is because you are not able to visualize it, because you do not have any previous knowledge of it, because you have never been given the orientation and exposure. And that is why the new concepts, without having any background anywhere, are not able to make any sense. Look at these slum children. The teacher knows that these children have taken birth at a place where there is no natural beauty, where they are far, far from gusty waves. She's talking about belled, flowery Tyrolese Valley, where these children have never been taken out of their slums. The teacher says that these lines represent the world. The child is unable to understand and appreciate it. Unfortunately, the children who have taken birth in the slums, their life itself is a narrow street metaphor. It is implied that the life is a narrow street and the opportunities are closed, sealed in, because their sky is not blue, it is not beautiful, it is a lead sky, smoky. It is that their lives are far, far from rivers, far, far from capes, deprived of even the natural beauty. Not even in words they are conveyed any ray of hope anywhere. Not even in words there are any stars, there are any shining possibilities. How can you expect that these children shall be able to understand, appreciate, learn, and then become somebody in life and their future shall get changed? Naturally, for these children living in these slums, when they don't appreciate the intellect and the level of poetry created by father of English drama, Shakespeare, they think that Shakespeare is bad, wicked. They think that this map is a bad example because they are not able to make any head or tail of it. With ships, ships are symbolic of the means of transport, which gives the orientation and exposure. Sun, the source of enlightenment. Love, necessary for survival. Warmth, when they come to know about ships and the sun and the love, they are tempted. They are wishing to have the similar lifestyle. They are even ready to commit crimes, steal. There is a hyphen there because of the uncertainty which comes with indulging in crimes. Because these children have gotten their lives which are secretly, slyly existing in their narrow spaces, cramped holes. When they take birth, it is foggy. it is uncertain. When they die, the night is endless for them. There is no change anywhere. All through their lives, they have poverty. Remember that woman in Lost Spring who had claimed that she had never been given one full meal to satisfy the hunger of her stomach. Such lives are enforced on these children. It seems that their bodies are slag heap, metaphor, created with waste material. It seems that these children are wearing skins from which the bones are peeping. They are so malnourished that their bones can be seen. One, they never get their vision correction done. By chance, from the garbage, if they pick up the spectacles of steel which has been mended and they wear it, it seems that bottle bits on stones. The eyes have become stones, numb, because of so much suffering they are subjected to from their birth all their lives. The glasses, the spectacles worn by them, which with the broken pieces, it seems that bottle bits on stones, metaphor. Eyes, numbness has been assumed to be stony. All their life, all their time, all their space, they have been living, existing in the slum, which is foggy, which is having uncertainty, which is not giving any opportunity. The slum has blotted the map of their lives so badly that it seems that their lives are ruined. This blot is as big as doom, ruining their lives, ruining their hopes, crushing their aspirations, not giving them the opportunity to do anything in life because the basic education is not provided the way it should be provided. You can see the plight of these children. You can see how malnourished they are, how their bodies are showing the bony structure. You can see the dirt and the filth in which they exist throughout their lives. Stephen Spender is a socialist and pacifist poet. He always thinks that the things may change. There will be a positive life. So, in the last part of the poem, he talks about the positivity. He says, unless there is an inspection, a governor, an inspector, a visitor, somebody from somewhere comes over. This map, which they were not understanding, this map, which had never been given the exposure and the orientation, it becomes their opportunity. Those opportunities which had been closed on them. They were forced to live a life like catacombs. Catacombs is the underground graves. It was as if these children had the hopes and the dreams and the aspirations which were forcefully buried and a stone structure was created like catacombs. Similarly, so those hopes and aspirations rise for a little while. The poet says there is a message here, beautiful message. Break open till they break the town. Breaking is not physically breaking anything, children. It is breaking the mindsets of the people. It is bringing about the change in the thinking part of the society. It is showing the children the natural beauty, green fields, so that they are able to create their own world. Such a world which has got blue river. The river of life is azure, transparent, so transparent that the golden sand is visible. How will it be possible? How will they able to live this kind of a life where they have azure river and golden sand, where the life is so beautiful? They can. Let their tongues run naked into books. Let them get themselves educated. Hold their hands so that they are educated, so that they are able to do something. When they are educated, the white and the green leaves shall open, leaves of new life, leaves of the books of their life. White, peace, green, prosperity. Then these children, when they are educated enough, they shall be able to create their own history. Such history whose language is sun, enlightenment. Remember the life of APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. Ambedkar, father of Indian Constitution. They could make such history because of their education, determination, and effort. Dear students, please mark the images and the symbols which have been used for the beautification of the poem. Gusty waves, rootless weeds, paper seeming boy, twisted bones, sour cream walls, Shakespeare's head, Tyrolese valley, open handed map, ships and sun, cramped holes, bottle bits on stones, gold sands. In a simile, the comparison is direct. Many examples are there in this poem, like rootless weeds, like bottle bits on stones, like catacombs, slums as big as doom. Metaphor means implied comparison, like and as are not used. Many examples are there. Rat's eyes, father's gnarled disease, squirrel's game, tree room, futures painted with a fog, lead sky, spectacles of steel. Spectacles of steel also suggest the rigid, inhuman, indifferent, and callous attitude of the government officials and authorities who fail to notice the plight of the slum children. They are myopic in their outlook, as if the glasses they are wearing are shattered or heavily scratched. The irregular rhyme represents the chaotic condition, the disorder in the lives of the children who are economically crushed and living in miserable conditions. I hope you have understood the poem. Shall be discussing the questions in the next video now.